You're listening to The Upland Rookie, a podcast presented by Onyx Hunt, Final Rise, and Inukshuk Professional Dog Food. Welcome to episode 88, part 2 of my conversation with Robert Poor from Borderland, Upland. And this podcast is also presented to you by Onyx Hunt, the most comprehensive public and private land ownership data mapping tool in the world. Many tools and layers like crop types, tree species, waypoints, and so much more. The Onyx Elite membership is going to give you a ton of access to a whole bunch of benefits, discounts on awesome gear. If you're not using Onyx Hunt already, I highly encourage you, get over to onyxhunt.com and sign up today. And be sure to check out Inukshuk Professional Dog Food, the only sporting dog, high-performance dog food I'm feeding my string of dogs. Have been using this for several years, and Inukshuk has delivered and lived up to and surpassed all the hype you've been hearing about online through friends, kennels, breeders, all that. And it has just been a high-quality premium food. I've been able to cut back several cups of food for my dogs, still keeping weight on them during season, during trialing, whatever it might be. These dogs are in the best shape they've been in, personally, in a long, long time. And thanks to Inukshuk Professional Dog Food, they have 4 incredible formulas. Check them out at inukshukpro.com. And last but not least, Final Rise Gear. I am so pumped and proud to be representing the Final Rise brand. They have been producing year after year quality premium upland gear that is made for the hunter, the bird hunter who is putting on miles after miles, season after season, and wants gear to hold up to the elements of how you are hunting. You got to look no further than finalrise.com. Check out the Summit vest, the Summit XT vest, which is brand new, the Sidekick vest, as well as the Legacy. So many vest options, which are totally customizable. I'm pretty darn confident you're going to find something that works for you and your setup. So check them out at finalrise.com. I first started listening to this podcast a while back after randomly stumbling upon it. As someone who always wanted a pointing dog, but never thought I'd be able to have one for a variety of reasons, I still really enjoyed living vicariously through the podcast. Fast forward to 2022 bird season, when I had a ton of opportunity I missed due to not having a dog. I reached out to Will and asked about getting a GSP. He was very helpful and encouraging when chatting with me about getting a dog. I explained my wants and needs in a dog, and he recommended I look at a Brittany. I did, and I was sold. He was even nice enough to put me in touch with a very reputable breeder/trainer, and 2 months later, I was on the plane to go pick up my 9-month-old started Brittany. Now that I have a dog, I enjoy this show a whole lot more in new ways, and I find myself invested in the topics even more. Thank you, Will, for putting this whole thing together and creating a great community resource. Well, thank you very, very much. That was from, the handle is Public Land Hunting. It was a review left on the podcast, April 22nd, 2023. Yes, I do steer people with a Brittany sometimes, not all the time, but it sounds like this worked out really, really well for you, my friend. I am so glad you got your first bird dog and are journeying through this experience and kind of figuring it out on your own. It's been so fun chatting with you. So thank you for leaving that review. I just wanted to kind of highlight one of our reviews that have been left on Apple Podcasts. Definitely head over there if you have not already. We are so close to 200 reviews. We have 191 reviews as of late May. 191. We're 9 away. I think we can get there. I think we can get to 200. What happens at 200? I have no idea. The Apple gods of the algorithm universe, I don't know. I don't know what'll happen. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's bad. But I do appreciate each and every review. Reviews that are super positive, reviews that are more constructive feedback. I read every single one of them. I love getting a pulse on my audience. how you guys are doing, what the show means to you. So definitely head over there if you have not already. I know we have some new listeners here over the last several months. So if you've not done that already, would greatly appreciate it. Hey guys, just a few more days and then the Gunner giveaway is going to close. Make sure you sign up on patreon.com, become a Patreon supporter of the show, and you'll be entered into the Gunner Fan Kit 2.0 giveaway, Upland Rookie hat, stickers, all that good stuff headed your way. So I'll announce the winner on May 30th. So time is ticking. Get over to patreon.com, become a supporter today, and definitely help support. It supports the show, but also you get to a chance to win some sweet gear. So we'll do some more giveaways over the summer and as we head into fall, of course, but make sure you get signed up soon. Hey, we're going to dive right back into part 2 of my conversation with Robert Poor. I had a blast chatting with him, and the conversation got lengthy, so we decided to break it up into 2 parts, and this is going to be part 2. So enjoy, and hey, don't forget to share it with a friend. Take some time to share it on Facebook, Instagram, not just this episode, but any episode that you found helpful. Again, that's a great way to help support the show. Whether you're a Patreon supporter, whether you just are subscribed, that's another way to make sure you support the show. But another way is to share it on social media, and maybe just share a highlight or two, what maybe something you got out of an episode in the past, what impact it's had. So whatever it might be, always helps to get the word out there. Like this review said, it sounds like from this guy who wrote the review, I think Tim, sounds like he kind of stumbled upon it randomly. So whether that was he heard about it from a friend, saw it on someone's social media post, whatever it might be, definitely helps grow. So anyways, I'm rambling. We're going to jump back into the conversation with Robert. Here we go. Awesome. What was last year like for you? What was last season? What was what was maybe a standout memory for you? Something that maybe you learned last year as you're going through your hunting season? Yeah.
Well, so we had a pretty good season down here as far as hatches of our 3 separate quail. Had some pretty special days with a couple of dogs. Fortunately and unfortunately, I had 2 dogs in their puppy season. So a couple of days that jump out at me. Opening day of the season, I get off work at 8 a.m., which is kind of an odd deal. Grab the dogs, blast out. It's going to be hot by 11. Found 2 coveys right off the bat, and Opal went on the warpath, stabbed me a few birds, shot some birds. It was too hot, left. But just like the perfect season is finally here.
Kind of, you can relax a little bit. Like, okay, we found a covey.
The birds were cooperative, and she just stabbed, and I shot like 5 birds off of 5 points, and it was just perfect. Get in the truck, let's go home. It's too damn hot. And then right after that, we saw a rattlesnake, so it was perfect timing to get out of there.
Get out of Dodge, yeah.
The entire dove season over that little cocker Bart, I want to say we shot like 186 doves over him and retrieved 186 doves.
Wow.
Over a puppy in his puppy season. I'm pretty happy with that. And then I had a couple of, if you shoot all 3 species of Arizona quail in a day or on a trip, whatever, they refer to that as a quail slam, Arizona quail slam, or a trifecta.
Okay.
I've been just finding weird little ways to do that because I live right in the middle of that stuff. And so this year I said, I'm going to do it with a 410 and I'm going to do it in an afternoon. And went out and was able to do that over Opal the Brock and Bart the Cocker, which was really fun with a 410.
That's cool.
Opening day of Mern season was a zoo down here. Just so many people, so many travelers, that kind of thing. Sure. Went out and shot, the limit's 8, and went out and shot 5 off of 5 points. Loaded up the truck, went home, had some lunch, had a little nap, and then said, while everybody else is Mern's quail hunting, I'm going to go desert quail hunting. And managed to find a couple of scalies and gambles and shoot a slam that day too on the opening day of Mern season, which was a lot of fun too.
That's awesome, man. Congrats.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Do all the quail open up on the same date, or are there different dates?
They don't because Mern's quail, their breeding season is so different. So like the desert quail, gambles and scalies, they rely heavily on winter and spring moisture. So think October through March rain. And come March, they're starting to feel sexy and they're talking to each other and they're doing their whole thing, clutching up, that kind of a thing, the gambles and scalies. Merns reproduce off of monsoon season, which is roughly June 15th through September 30th, that kind of a deal. Okay. We get heavy rains during that time, and they clutch off of that moisture. And with that being said, an October opener, you would be shooting fuzzy little hatchling Mearns quail.
Okay.
Off that opening until roughly the first Friday in December. So middle of October, we get our desert quail opener. First Friday in December, we get our Mearns quail opener, and then they run concurrently through about Valentine's Day-ish, something like that. So we don't get to shoot the pretty special quail until December, which is fine.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh. And
That's
then
awesome, man.
Jumped out off of me is, like I said, Luke was, and it's pretty accustomed to setters. Kind of a slow starter, but boy, oh boy, I took him out. And it was the day that I really felt like he put things together as a puppy. I had some really clicking moments. There's some pictures on my Instagram that I just absolutely love. There's this big grassland. You see that setter tail sickled up like that, and just beautiful mountain in the background.
That's why people get the setter.
And he wore some scalies out that day. He absolutely wore them out that day, to the point where I was like, you know what, buddy, we've had enough. We're riding the win streak. Let's call it a day and go home. So, yeah, some really special days dealing with two puppies.
That's awesome. That's
stuff that you're burned into your memory forever. So,
absolutely, yeah, especially with young dogs, and just getting that experience with them, and then getting to build upon that for the next season. So that's exciting.
I shot a damn bluegrouse over the cocker. That was cool too.
Oh, that's all in Arizona.
Yeah, in Arizona. So
that's awesome.
I watched him because it's thick cover, eyeball deep, thick cover. Mostly like briars. It's horrific stuff. The stuff we hunt in Arizona. There's not many birds, and it's super tough hunting. But I watched his little zigzag on the GPS, and you can hear him, hood ratting around in there. And then I heard him line out, and then this bluegrouse blows up, and I shot this really nice crosser, and he went down off the damn mountain because they like to fly downhill. And I was like, I don't find that bird. I don't know if we're going to find that bird. It's a nightmare. It's just straight drop off. And so I went to where the bird flushed and went in a straight line where I thought that bird flew off to. And I could hear the panting change from to muffled because he had a bird in his mouth, and that little booger delivered. So he found it, produced it for the gun, and retrieved it. And that was
over a young little cocker.
Yeah, over a cocker. So, I mean, the damn bird was almost the size of him.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, those things got some size to them.
I love them.
That's awesome.
I have a ton of them here. I just started hunting them about 4 or 5 years ago. And it's just a really nice, being in Arizona, it's hot. It's really nice to get up to the high country. It's the only place in Arizona I can run dogs in September. And everything's just way too warm unless you're like literally up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Even the evenings are too warm. So you kind of got to get up. Sure. If you want to run dogs through the day, you kind of got to go see some high country.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If there's ever a delay at all, Robert, I don't know if it's my internet maybe or yours. It's getting a little choppy. So if I ever seem like I'm not moving, I can still hear you.
Yeah.
But just want to make you aware.
Okay.
But I can hear you just fine. So if it gets a little weird, that's
perfect.
why. All right, we're gonna move in here. I'm just looking at my notes real quick. Cool. Okay. And then last thing before we kind of start, got a few more questions here for you as we start to wrap up. Are you going to get out for any turkey this spring? And what's the turkey scene like in Arizona?
Okay, so we'll start with that because it might explain the second part. So there are absolutely some turkeys in Arizona. The majority of the state is Merriam's birds. There are a few Rios up north and a handful of Goulds down south, but all of the turkeys in Arizona are a draw. And with the scarcity of the Rios in Arizona and the scarcity of the Goulds in Arizona, it's a very, very difficult draw. I'm not going to say like on the lines of sheep or anything like that, but very, very similar to maybe a tough antelope tag as far as the Goulds and the Rio tag draw.
Okay.
Merriam's, you can pick up a tag about every other year, that kind of a thing. With that being said, Arizona did not see fit to give me a tag this year. So I'm packing up and going to a neighboring state with some over-the-counter opportunities and gonna chase a few turkeys literally after we wrap this up. So
nice.
The truck is loaded.
Is the truck all packed?
Truck is loaded. There's a big dumb grin on my face, and we're going to go chase some turkeys for, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 days, something like that. And it's a much needed reset between bird season and kind of the dog days of summer where it's too hot to do anything.
Yeah, you're coming into those summer months. It's going to be pretty brutal.
And like I said, I'm mildly feral, so every now and then I gotta unplug and go get back on a diurnal clock and hear some turkeys gobble, that kind of a thing, and just be away from people for a bit. So I kind of like the backcountry turkey hunting and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I was going to ask your style of turkey hunting. Are you kind of run and gun? Are you setting up a blind? What's your kind of strategy?
I'm not a blind guy. I'm not opposed to them, especially for like youth hunts, that kind of a thing. And as time goes on, I'm becoming more of a minimalist, even when it comes to like decoys and that kind of a thing. I'm not super in love with fanning or any of that good stuff, or the quote unquote reaping. Not my thing. And I think it's the state's right to determine how they manage that whole deal. I'm a big fan of calling. And with that being said, I'd like to know that I've gotten the best of that turkey. I spoke his language. I've gotten the best of him. And so about 6-8 years ago, I started questioning whether I was doing that or the $350 worth of Dave Smith decoys was doing that. And so I've kind of subtracted that stuff from my setup, and largely kind of going with a vest full of calls and a shotgun and some camo, and trying to get.
Okay, so you've kind of moved away from the decoy side of things.
Decoys, blinds, the whole 9 yards, and I want to create a scenario that's too good to believe for that gobbler, and he comes in anyways. And that's
cool.
That's my take on it. Like I said, not right, wrong, or indifferent how anybody does it. But that's I want to know that I beat it, and I honestly don't mind losing to the turkey. I don't mind watching them leave.
Yeah,
I've shot enough turkeys. I would like a few more, obviously, but at the same point in time, nothing gets my blood fired up like a bad turkey, in the sense of there was a bird 3 or 4 years ago I worked for 6 days straight before he finally decided he wanted to go for a ride in the truck, and it's super because of that. So that's more what I'm into now. Shooting a lot of 410 this year. I'm going to try to knock down a turkey 410, and I put some pattern pictures up on Instagram, and been dabbling with that, and that's a lot of fun. And the only reason I grabbed up the 410 is, one, it's a really light gun to pack through the mountains out west, and if it limits my range and makes 50-yard turkeys unavailable to me, that's even better, because like I said, I'm walking away and winning. That's okay.
Yeah,
I want 35-yard or not. So
I think you said that you've been talking turkey on your Instagram here for a few weeks, and I think you've been kind of saying like it's okay if the turkey wins, right? Like it's okay.
For me, it is.
If turkey wins that round, I'm okay with that.
I think there's a kind of a cultural cancer going on that, like, you have to have success, you have to sell the camo, you have to sell this product, that kind of a deal. And anytime that the turkey, it's unacceptable for the turkey to win, then it's obviously losing. And I think the majority of the time the wildlife should win in our endeavors. But that's, once again, that's just my take on it. I'm not here to get preachy or get on a soapbox or anything like that. But I think most of the time the wildlife should win. Even when we're hunting covey birds, we might knock down 1 or 2, but leave the rest of them alone. The wildlife's been losing a lot lately, whether it's be habitat or weather or anything like that. I don't need to contribute to the wildlife losing too damn much. Sure.
That's a great mindset to look at it. Yeah. No matter what animal you're chasing, species, birds, big game, that's what I think brings us back. For me, at least, like, I might have a really bad day. I didn't shoot a bird, whatever. It helps me want to go back another time. It's the chase. It's the, and then, it didn't happen today, but you know what? I'm going to go back tomorrow.
Well, like I said, I had that turkey that I worked for 6 days straight before I finally convinced him to go for a ride in the pickup truck. That turkey will always stick with me because he was ornery, and because, man, oh man, the magic 8-ball just never shook out to like my side until it did, and it just made it so much sweeter.
Sure.
It wasn't a particularly great bird or anything like that, but I decided that it was going to be that turkey or bust. I had other turkeys gobbling in other places. I said, settled on that one. I said, I'm either going to take him home or I'm not. That's fine. That's okay.
Yeah.
And I think it makes the rewards higher. Kind of like, 10, 15 years ago, if a strutter was hung out in a field, he was bulletproof. You couldn't do anything about him. And now folks are sneaking out and they're hammering those smart turkeys. And, I don't know what that's doing to population dynamics on a bird that's already kind of struggling nationally, but we're killing a lot of the smart ones that we kill. And even with TSS and stuff like that, a 60-yard bird, that used to be, well, goodbye, and I hope I see you tomorrow. That's not the case a lot more. Those birds go for a ride in the truck. And so I think kind of like even Western antelope or mule deer, they haven't adapted as quick as we've adapted ways to figure out killing them. So it's just my take on it that, like I said, I don't mind if they win. Matter of fact, they're supposed to win most of the time. And like I said, I know where they sell butterballs, and I'm okay. I will without that. And I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm not looking for any clout associated with that. So it's okay if they win.
Yeah,
that's all right.
Hey, this is maybe kind of along the kind of lines of what we're talking about right now, but kind of want to move into social media a little bit. And again, the good, the bad, the indifferent. Yeah. Again, personally for you, I mean, what's your take just on social media and what it is, again, good or bad, doing for the hunting space?
I love it, but I love it for a couple of reasons that are probably very similar to a lot of reasons of your listeners. It has made connections like this one never would have happened 10 years ago with me just kind of BSing with you in a recorded format. That never would have happened 10 years ago.
Sure.
And it brings like-minded people together. And I love that. I have met some really great people that I consider family, if not, really, really good friends because of this, that never would have happened with social media. I think it's dramatically shortened the learning curve on dog training and gear and all that. And it's created a competitive market for like folks like Matt from Final Rise to advance our equipment, because my entire Upland upbringing up until about 5 years ago was, you go grab the vest off the shelf and that's what everybody ran. And they were terrible, 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 terrible pieces of gear. But because of this open space and open format, everybody can look at it and people can analyze things and, oh, he's running that, and that's very successful for him, whether it be a training method, a shotgun, whatever. I think it's making the world smaller and good that way. Now there's the negative with that of like hot spotting and all that horrific stuff. It's making the world smaller too. So like the bird that I am known for targeting the most lives in a very small section of the world, period. And it's became super, super popular in vogue. And because the world is smaller, it's a lot more accessible to people. I bet you if you asked folks 10 years ago what a Mearns quail was, nobody had any idea what the hell they were. Nobody had heard of them except locals. Now, with that being said, it's really nice to share those opportunities of terrific dog work and a beautiful bird in beautiful country with There's times that it's absolutely going to be abused. Everybody's pulled up to a piece of weehaw and just seen it absolutely pillaged. That's what they're turning a lot of wild bird country into all over. I mean, eastern Montana was blown up this year. Southern Arizona was blown up this year. So there's absolutely some negative with that never would have happened without social media. I think the only way to combat that is to really focus on the ethics side of things and focus on, being good patrons of the land and focusing on covey ethics, because there's nothing wrong with people coming down here and utilizing the resource. Hell, they pay taxes on it.
Sure.
Glad you're down here pumping money in the local economy, all that cool stuff, that the vogue stuff that people like to say when they're selling bird hunts. But we really need to focus on like the covey ethics and sustainable harvest side of things.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense, because it's a state or a region or things like that will get like you're saying, kind of blown up, or people are traveling from all over, which is good, which is great for you can travel and hunt birds. That's awesome. But kind of on the responsibility side, do you think it's just a sheer number game of like there's just maybe too many people, and that number of people aren't don't have covey ethics, or
that largely there's too damn many people on this planet. But, but besides that,
for the amount of birds that
besides that, they're here. Let's wear a smile when we interact with each other. Let's not do dick things to other hunters, cut them off, that kind of stuff, and really focus on, we're going to participate in this, but we're going to participate with this in a responsible manner. We're not going to leave a mess. We're not going to.
That makes sense. And with,
go ahead.
Sorry, you're cutting out a second. Repeat what you were saying just a second ago.
I'm trying to remember what I said, but I think being patrons of the resource and making sure that we're not littering, we're not overshooting coveys when it comes to covey birds, we're not cutting other hunters off and kind of buttholing other people because it's a competitive thing, that kind of a thing. I think just bringing maybe a higher set of ethics and appreciation for special places that bird hunting brings us to might make everything a little bit better. And there's another dark side of that social media thing where it's, I think a lot of folks have found a venue to get popular and famous quickly. And that's the hunting world in general, where there just wasn't that much attention to it before. If you wanted to be, rich and famous in the hunting world, there had to be a whole production crew with it. Now somebody with an iPhone can snap some pictures, put an inspiring quote, and they're the messiah of the upland world, kind of a deal. And largely trading on clout on something where I don't know that was a thing in the past. Sure.
Like that's a whole new thing. I mean, not just our industry or whatever you want to call it, but it's a thing. You can have moms who do reels about going to Target, and that's a thing now.
Yeah. And I don't know that we can get Pandora back in the box, but we can manage the business of dealing with this many people in the uplands better than we are. And it's one of the reasons I used to never really hunt with a lot of people. I hunted with my own little select group. And now if people hit me up on Instagram or something like that, hey, are you free? It used to always just be a blanket no. The birds are there. Enjoy yourself. No. But in order to try to spread at least my appreciation for these special places, if they're in the neighborhood, a lot of times those are becoming yeses now so that I can show them why they're special and why I handle business the way that I do on these birds. And it's because of, covey numbers being small, that kind of a thing. If you shoot merge quail, for example, if you have a 10 bird covey and you shoot 4 on the rise, a couple of guys wearing into that covey, you've knocked 40% of that covey off.
Sure.
Anybody else hunts that covey again for the rest of the season, you may have killed that covey, period.
Yeah.
And, but if I can show those people that resource in, from my perspective of why this is special and why we do things the way we do, it's kind of the force multiplier mindset. Maybe they come down in 5 years with a couple of buddies and they go, hey, we did this because of this, this, and this. And it's just kind of maybe spreading a little bit more positive message in a firsthand experience kind of a deal.
Absolutely. Can you kind of last thing while we're on this topic here, kind of unpack about hot spotting and why, or maybe some things people can do better about hot spotting, and just why is that an issue? I don't think I've ever talked about that on this podcast, at least.
Well,
why is it bad for someone to hot spot? Let's take someone who's maybe new to hunting, new to this whole game, and they might think, well, why is that a bad thing?
Well, there's a 1,000 different ways to answer that. So like, I have hunting spots that I inherited, and I'm going to say inherited because my dad showed them, that kind of a thing. So they're very near and dear places to me and my heart and my family. And so when I take somebody in there, that's something special. They've been vetted, that kind of a deal. And when they blow that up because we had a really good time and I really want to show how much fun I had on the internet to all my friends, and they put a location there, and then the entire world is there, and it receives where it might have seen, my family and maybe a couple other people that knew about the spot might have received very little pressure traditionally over the last 50 years. Now it's seeing 200 people's worth of pressure and over harvest and littering and everything else with that. There's also the idea of that if you hit an area, like you mentioned a town name, people may go there and it may be shot out, but then they start branching out. So now the hot spot no longer is a very focused spot, but all of the areas surrounding that, because this spot now sucks, people start branching out, trying to salvage a bird trip, that kind of a thing. And now you have a bigger area that's absolutely hammered. And largely our wild birds, not talking pheasants, that kind of a thing, huns a bit, chuckers absolutely, but covey birds specifically need to be hunted mindfully in order to sustain those covey birds. And if somebody puts a location on the internet, and I absolutely, e-scout when I'm going a place, because loose lips sink ships. And if you can give me a little breadcrumb, I'm going to take what I learned from that little breadcrumb and I'm going to extrapolate it out, because I don't want to go to that spot. But at the same point in time, if we're talking covey birds, you and I go in there and we shoot a few birds, and then somebody else that saw the same tip on the internet comes in there and shoots birds and a few more birds, and
it's just a trickle down effect. It's just this snowball.
Yeah, and it leaves a little bit more litter, that kind of a thing. Next thing you know, those coveys are gone, and there's no seed birds to re-establish those coveys the next go around. And that's talking covey birds specifically.
Sure,
that's my experiences with those types of things. And even a lot of our state lands, people leaving gates open, littering, that kind of stuff. Those state lands can be shut down in a heartbeat. It's a little harder to shut down the federal land.
Sure.
State land stuff can absolutely be shut down in a heartbeat for any given reason. A rancher with a grazing permit can say, the hunters have been leaving my gates open, and the next thing you know, there's padlocks on those gates. And
it's gone.
It kind of ruins the party for everybody. It's kind of like pooping in the swimming pool. It just doesn't work for anybody after that. Nobody poops in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
So
you gotta be a special person if you're gonna keep swimming in that.
You gotta be a little bit more ruthless than I am.
Oh, thanks for unpacking that. That's something I don't think we've really kind of covered here. Just because it's a topic, it's a hot button topic. People love talking about it, and I get it. But really,
the argument against the people that are saying, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal," is that it's public land and it's my resource too. And I'm like, yes, absolutely. I don't spoon feed you to ensure your access to that resource, though. You have that resource as a tax-paying American with a hunting license. You have absolutely every right to that resource. I do. I will never attempt to run anybody off of our public lands and our public resources. But that doesn't mean that I need to spoon feed you and show you how to get to the X on the map to find birds. And a lot of it is just kind of it can be extrapolated out, and this is not nice, but it can be extrapolated out as outright laziness. Like, look, I've spent an entire lifetime building these quote-unquote pins on Onyx, and some of them are not on Onyx, some of them are just memories of places, that kind of a thing. Or my dad took me here once, and I don't remember how to get back in there, and I'm going to find my way back in there. And then you discover that stuff, and you spent a lifetime building this. And somebody that's brand new to it's like, okay, well, I want that too. And it's like, man, I kind of put in a lot of effort to get this.
Yeah, a lot of time, a lot of effort.
Absolutely help you out and help you with the knowledge base, but I'm not going to just give you the experience that I earned. And I think that would be shortchanging you in finding your own spots. Like, there's nothing better than going into an X that you put on a map that nobody helped you with, and going in there and saying, I think this might hold birds, dropping some dogs and finding birds. There's nothing better than that. And nobody can take that experience away from you. The moment that my buddy gave me this pin. Well, it's not my spot. That's his spot. And it's not that it cheapens it, but it just doesn't have the same luster of something that I discovered on my own, dropped dogs, and verified that what I knew was the truth. It's
because again, you can learn from people, or say someone reaches out to you or me and says, "Hey, I want to hunt sharptails." Well, okay, here's some things you can look for. Food, land, hills, whatever. But then that experience, because I can relate with that. With my first sharptail hunt, I did all the questions and, hey, what do I look for? Blah, 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 blah. When I found my first sharptail, I shot my first sharptail, it was the most exciting thing because I put in a shit ton of miles. And I did all the research and the questions, but no one gave me a pin. No one gave me a location. But it was more rewarding, way more rewarding than you dropping a pin to me and say, hey, well, go here.
Yeah, so much better. And even like the general area thing, that's fine. But like, I remember my first blue grouse, like I literally hiked my hind parts off to find that bird. And then because I had that bird, I had one in my hand, I popped its crop and I go, I don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah.
And so I took some pictures of it, and I don't know what that is, but I know where to find more of it. And I just started building that pattern, for lack of a better phrase. In bass fishing, they call it a pattern. You know, you get a bite and it tells you a little bit of information. And then you get another bite and it tells you a little bit more information. Next thing you know, you're ripping lips right and left because you just took that little snowball of information and just expanded it. And then it's the same with our birds down here. Like, well, this thing that looked like this held birds and it was awesome. I bet you the thing right next to it that looks just like it probably holds birds too. And so when you see those questions, you know, like on Facebook or things like that, it comes, I try to filter it for myself of, is it really a lack of knowledge of how to ask? Because like when you were talking about it, you asked the questions, and the questions are, what am I looking for as far as plant species, you know, shelter height, hills, topography, that kind of thing. Those are the right questions. So if somebody approaches me with the right questions, I am absolutely 100% helpful. Here's a picture of what it should look like. I have pictures. Here's pictures. This is what you are looking for. But if it comes to it like I want success now, it's kind of like the spoiled little girl from Willy Wonka. It's like, I want it. Like, no, I'm sorry. If you want it now, there's plenty of really good outfitters around. Cut them a check. They will absolutely. I'm not.
Gladly take that. Here's a last question on this. Is naming a state hot spotting to you?
No.
Is saying Colorado is the freaking bomb and you need to come hunt Colorado. Is that hot spotting to you?
No, not at all. Not at all. Because how many different ecotones, ecosystems, all that good stuff are in the state of Colorado? You guys have got everything from high desert to literally like higher than alpine. So like if I'm looking for scale quail in Colorado and I'm dropping a dog on Pikes Peak, I'm not going to find them. So
oh, you haven't been to my spots on Pikes Peak.
You know what I mean? In the sense of that's not even tying it to a habitat type. You know what I mean?
Sure.
To me, a state, and we all get like the pheasants forever, quail forever state forecast, and I'm sure you watch them like a hawk as much as I do. Sometimes you're even wondering, like, because I've gone to some of those states where like, oh, it's going to be a banner year, and you're like, BS. No, here. How is this state parks and tourism getting bought off on this? You know what I mean? But me, a state is absolutely not. And when you start talking like specific towns that you stayed in, that kind of a thing, because you know, there's usually like if I stayed in XYZ town and I hunted outside of that, it's like, okay, now we're starting to talk hot spotting territory. Counties where they're small counties, that kind of a thing, that's probably pretty darn close to hot spotting too, because especially if you're dealing with birds that like a particular type of habitat and you start looking at a map of where that habitat is around a county or a town, it's like, man, that's going to focus everybody in that whatever drainage or something like that. That's getting a bit much for me. You asked me where I was from. I'm from Southeast Arizona. Everybody knows where the hell that is. That's about as close as I'm comfortable with.
Yeah. That's pretty specific for you, I feel.
Yeah. I'm in the southern United States, but not the biscuits and gravy one.
Yeah.
So,
hey, good. Give me some biscuits and gravy every day.
Hard to argue southern food, man. Hard to.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. Yeah. It really is. Well, Robert, we're gonna start kind of wrapping this thing up. Couple more questions for you here. Kind of what my staple I like to kind of end with. Ask each of my guests here is, you know, what piece of advice? What piece of advice would you give a new hunter out there? You know, maybe just getting into this whole world of upland hunting, bird dogs.
Well,
you know, what would you share?
This one's a two-piecer. Find a mentor, right? That like even I've been doing this forever, and like I said, I started working my dogs with Guy Mollicone, and have learned so much in just windows of experience with that guy. And I've been doing this forever, and I'm not an expert by any stretch, but down here in this part of the world, I know some things, and people ask me questions. Whether that qualifies as anything or not, I don't know. But point being, I have learned a ton from somebody that has more experience than I do in that venue of dog training, that kind of a thing. I'm sure if you contacted a professional sporting clay shooter, you could absolutely learn how to shoot a shotgun better. So finding those mentors and the things that you want to do better, but at the same point in time, vetting those mentors and maybe checking up on their reputation, because you can learn some really bad habits. Mentors that extend their hand in a nice way, but aren't necessarily showing you the most ethical ways to get things done.
That's really good. That is really good. I don't think anyone has explained that side of things. I hear a lot of find a mentor, which I think is awesome.
I think in the world now, like if I, scroll through and find a guy with a giant Instagram following, that doesn't mean he knows a damn thing or he does anything ethically at all. It just means he has a giant Instagram following. I don't know what he knows or anything. And some of the people I interact with that absolutely know the most have tiny, tiny, tiny followings in that world, but have cult-like followings in the real world, the tangible world.
Sure.
Because they're just absolutely, dog whisperers, that kind of a thing. So I think vetting your mentors is huge. And I don't know how to do that, but ask some people that associate around them.
Sure.
Like, hey, how is this guy really in life? That kind of a deal. Is he an ethical hunter? I see you hunted with him and you're not anymore. That kind of a thing. And he just happens to be in my neighborhood.
Sure.
So I'm not sure how to skin that cat, but I think
yeah, that's good advice right there.
Huge, but a vetted mentor that is teaching you the right way and not instilling bad habits.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that. All right, sir. We're going to go through a couple rapid fire questions here. I did add a couple here, so this might be a little bit longer than our typical one. So, awesome, man. Awesome. All right. So first one, for you, Robert, what came first, the dog, the gun, or the bird?
The birds. When I was a kid, I was a flat out heathen. I'd shoot them on the ground when they were running away because I wanted birds and I wanted that success. And you talk about the stages of a sportsman, which are kind of huge. And I kind of push that narrative a little bit from the hunter safety side. I just went through the normal stages of a sportsman of anybody else. And the first one is some shooting, obviously, but then it's the success. You need that success to dig those spurs in and keep that love going. And then you want a lot of success. And then the methodology becomes more important later on. And then you come back to that conservationist phase where you're going to plant trees of which you'll never enjoy the shade of, kind of a deal. And I'm in that part of the now where like the methodology is incredibly important to me to how I do things, but I'm also going to start thinking about how to plant trees, metaphorically plant trees of the shade I will never enjoy.
Sure.
So it was always
Oh, that's gold right there, man. That's gold. I love that progression because I've been in that progression. I started out all about the kill limits, and I've moved through that now into as long as there was good dog work for me, that was a success.
Oh man, isn't
that's a beautiful thing about hunting.
Isn't that a great measure though? Because even if the vest doesn't come back heavier, man, if you had some good dog work and your shotgunning wasn't there, I don't know of a better measure of success. And I've found myself around the right people that all we care about is the dog work. Yeah, and the supporting need to shoot the dog work, or the shooting needs to support the dog work. But the measure of every day when we're sitting on the tailgate BSing is the dog work. Like, man, we're on fire.
That's what I remember from hunts and people in the community. But yeah, it's those that
we had a
stand
couple of
out.
days last year where we had 7 dogs on the ground at one time, and everybody produced really good dog work and birds. And we shot horrifically that day. But at the same point in time, it's like, man, you can't argue the dog work, and those are just keystone mind,
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that, man. Thanks for explaining that way. That was beautiful. Okay. Let's see here. Why do you hate the Griffs so much?
So
I told you I was going to ask you this at some point.
I'm glad this came up. Once again, with your reach, I've never met a bird dog that I've said it 1,000 times, but I still don't think people believe it. I've never met a bird dog I don't like. And the Griffs lately, it was kind of just their turn. So I go through like phases where I'll pick on wire hairs for a while, and then I'll pick on pointers for a while, and then, fat labs for a while. And it was kind of, there was a hole in the arsenal, and it was like, man, I haven't picked on Griffs in a while or at all.
They're up.
If you look back through, I've been building the memes for 5 years now or so. There's some Griff stuff in there that's older there's some good deep cuts in the catalog if anybody's ever interested. But a few Griff owners came out and they're like, "Hey, roast a Griff," and so I started roasting them. Then people are like, "Wow, you're roasting Griffs!" And I mean, I was kind of asked to, and everybody I know that has them has provided some positive feedback. But yeah, it's nothing Griffs at all.
That's awesome.
I think they're absolutely adorable goofballs, and they remind me of the closest living thing to a Muppet. And there's nothing. We all use a little bit of that joy in our lives.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Moving on here. What gun are you carrying into the field and why?
It depends on what for. So I'm a believer in tools, and a lot of things can be a hammer, but you know what is a really good hammer? A hammer. So my go-tos, my I would say my North American Upland wing shooting battery is going to be a 16 gauge Connecticut Shotguns RBL. That Connecticut Shotgun put together for me. It's beautiful. It's pride and joy. It's one of those guns that I plan on being buried with. Just absolutely way better than I deserve. And it can handle, the bigger birds, bigger country, that kind of stuff really well. It weighs about 6.25 pounds. I'm a big believer that there's nothing you can't do in the uplands at all that you can't do with a 20 gauge. So I have a really nice little, I think made in the 70s Ithaca Model 100 20 gauge that I shoot a lot if I'm ever in a shooting slump.
Okay.
That's the gun I reach for. It's got a little bit short the pool, and I'm kind of a little guy. So a lot of times when you're struggling with wing shooting, it's your moving mount that causes the problem. And get away with a little bit more with that gun if I'm in a shooting slump. And then this year, the majority of the last season, I carried a Fair Exceed 28 gauge side by side, English stock, 2 triggers, and that is a 5-pound little magic wand. And in 28 gauge, it's perfect for quail sized birds. I never felt under horsepowered on those birds. I think if you fed it the right food, it would be super ethically to shoot pheasants over pointing dogs. Because I just don't shoot far stuff, and I don't shoot birds that aren't pointed. So it worked out really well. With that said, awesome. I don't shoot it particularly good, but if I'm going to miss, I might as well carry a 5-pound gun.
Exactly. Then your shoulders are going to thank you later.
So.
Is it true? I think this was you who was telling me. Don't you have quite a large Browning collection?
I've got a decent amount, and so it all kind of started with after I kind of aged up out of the 20 gauge. My old man had a Moroku era Browning Auto 5, and so like a large part of my teenage years, I shot everything with that Auto 5, and I love it to death. It is a prized family heirloom. And don't get me wrong, it's not a Belgian Browning, it's not a Sweet 16 or anything like that, just a run-of-the-mill Moroku Browning Auto 5, and I love it to death. And so then I started realizing that there's all these different companies that make or made at the time licensed Browning Auto 5 variants, like the Remington Model 11, which I got from my grandpa when he passed away. I got a Model 11. So next thing I know, I got 2 of these things, these humpback shotguns. And then a little bit more research, and I was like, well, they made them in 16 and 22. So I kind of, not having a lot of money, you kind of got to pick and shop here and there and search estates and that kind of a deal. And ended up with a Model 11 and 20 gauge. And then, like, well, hell, people made these in 16 gauge too. And find out Savage and Springfield, the 720, 740, 745s, that kind of a deal. So I snagged up a couple of those because they just,
wait, so other companies were licensed to make the Browning models? Basically?
Well, they were making them under their name. So like the Remington Model 11 is it's a simplified Browning Auto 5. And the 735, the 720, the 740s from Springfield and Savage, same guns, not finished quite as well, and not fetching the premium of that Browning name. Same guns. They're identical. And so I just kind of started picking and choosing here and there and ended up with a decent little handful of humpback shotguns in 12, 20, and 16 gauge. And about the only thing I really use them for much anymore is shooting some doves and only some town hill cranes with that Moroku Auto 5 12 gauge. I'm not a big fan of auto loaders on walking pursuits because they throw holes, and I'm big on picking up your damn holes. So I like brake guns for walking pursuits, but somewhere where you're going to sit in a duck blind, on a dove stool, waterfowl blind, that kind of thing, where all your holes are going to be in an area and you can pick them up at the end of the day. I like those guns for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, a few more here. What's a new piece of gear you added last season that you really fell in love with?
So I didn't add it last season. I'm a big fan of the Garmin Alpha 200, but the big one from last year was probably that Final Rise Sidekick. I've been running the Summit since inception. I was on the pre-order for the Summit. I love that vest. And so when Matt said he was coming out with a vest that catered a little bit more to quail hunters and training, that kind of thing, I had to have one. So adding that, just the bag, because I can pull the Summit bag off, add the bag to my system, and go to work and have a more streamlined setup for training in the late summer months for me. And chasing quail, which are small birds, I can fit a bajillion quail in that little Sidekick. And being kind of a gear guy, I've never found a piece of gear that was useful at the truck when I'm not at the truck. So I carry a lot of gear. And for being a minimalist vest, it still allows me to carry a pile of gear. If you ever go through Instagram,
I was gonna say you did a tailgate kind of dump on that vest, a Sidekick, and you could fit a crap ton in that vest.
Like the dock and deadfall trainers, I fit 4 pheasants in it. 4 pheasant dock deadfall trainers on it. And I'm like, if this is a minimalist vest, I don't know what a minimalist vest is, because it doesn't force me to reduce my gear a whole lot at all. I took it blue grouse hunting, and like a weird little benefit that I wasn't expecting when I took it blue grouse hunting is it's pretty thick woods, probably comparable to a lot of the Northwoods grouse hunters type stuff. As it was more compact, and I got through the woods a lot easier with that little vest. And it's Arizona, it's hot, and just not having fabric on your back, even though Matt's mesh on the Sidekick or the Summit and the
breathable and all that.
But having no fabric back there is life-changing for our early season hunts.
So when you run the Sidekick, are you running it with the shoulder harness, or are you taking the harness off?
Because I still carry a pile of gear and it's still heavy. I'm running the same shell pockets as on the Summit. The water bottle holders, a whole 9.
Oh, so you took the Summit pockets, those nice big ones.
Because when I got my Sidekick, it was just the game bag. So I literally am taking the Summit game bag off and putting on the Sidekick game bag.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's phenomenal because I need the water capacity. The water capacity. I like having all the gear, and I like those deep shell pockets for a throw bird or anything like that while training, all that good stuff. I don't like giving.
Yeah, those deep pockets are nice. I like those a lot. Yeah. That's awesome. Love it, man. All right, a couple more here. Favorite breed of dog besides the ones you've ever owned?
So, living in Arizona, I don't know why it never occurred to me to get a damn pointer. I can't think of a pointing dog off the top of my head that has a better reputation in the heat for stabbing birds. And I don't know why nobody I grew up with, nobody I hunted around until maybe the last 10 years. I'd never seen a pointer until probably 2000.
Okay.
And I just don't know why nobody ran them down here for years. And you're starting to see a lot more of them. People that actually don't have their head as far up their butt as I did are running some pointers, and they're really nice. My buddy Phil has a absolute bomber of a pointer. It's the nicest desert quail dog I have ever seen in my whole life. And I think it came out of Austin Turley. And just an absolute bomber of a pointer. And every time you put him on the ground, he puts on an absolute clinic, and it doesn't matter how hot it is. And so it gets you scratching your head of why the hell didn't I think of
that? Good old pointer, man. Those dogs are freaking beasts. All right. And then, all right, this one might be hard for you. Maybe not. Favorite bird to hunt and why? And I think you're going to say a quail, but you have to tell me which quail.
Okay. So I have been asked this question before, and I always have a cop-out answer of the one that's in.
Oh, come on.
The one that's in front of the dog. But because you asked nicely, If I had to pick one, it'd probably be scale quail.
Scale,
and the reason is when I was a kid, we would come where I grew up is not where I live now. We would find a couple of coveys of scalies every season, and they would just run the old farts that I was hunting with to death. And so when we struck a covey of scalies, it was essentially after about the first 200-300 yards, it was my covey of scalies. I built a relationship with that bird on a lot of solo days in the desert where, like I said, the covey would rise, and as soon as the pursuit got hard, the other guys would turn back to the truck, and that was my covey to my heart's extent. They will absolutely drive you nuts. I don't know of a bird that you can watch pitch in and absolutely disappear like scalies can. I don't know how many hundreds of times I've watched the covey rise. You watch exactly where they pitch, go over there, and there's nothing. And but every now and then, when you about twice, maybe on the high side, a half a dozen times a season, you push them into the right cover, and they stick like nobody's business, and they come out of your pant legs. For a bird that has made an entire reputation on running away from people, when they hold good and you get really good dog work on them, it is really something special.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I tried my first hand at scalies this past season, and they gave me the slip.
I love them. Kind of like we were talking a bad turkey earlier. A turkey that worked for it, man. I love them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm kind of a big fan of being fed my own guts and asking for seconds, kind of a deal.
Yeah. There you go. All right, 2 more here for you, sir. Your go-to hunting snack on a trip?
Some form of wild game jerky. Jerky's always a hit. Yeah,
jerky is life.
Yeah, granola bars. Those are always in my vest, kind of rolling around somewhere.
Hey, you're a healthy guy.
No, I am not. But I understand what it takes to fuel the big fat machine. So
yeah. A lot of miles to cover. Last one, beverage of choice after a hunt.
You know the answer to this because you've talked to some Arizona before.
It's always the same with you guys.
Gatorade, water, something like that. Because
hold on, Pedialyte, really?
Pedialyte's a game changer, man. Pedialyte's a game changer.
It's like what my kids get when they're vomiting for 3 days straight.
It's amazing. Cut it in half with some water, and it'll change your life after a bird hunting. But it's something like that, something hydrating. If I'm going to have a libation with a good close friend after a particularly special day, pretty hard to argue a cold beer or a nice glass of something. But that's usually it back after we get home. Out in the field, it's about rehydrating and getting everybody back again to do it again tomorrow. So water, Gatorade, something like that.
Absolutely. I actually lied. I actually have one more for you. This was I was going to ask you earlier. Okay, here's the closing question here, Robert. All right, why is your meme game so strong?
I have no idea.
Let me say, you've come out with some damn fine memes, and they're things that pointed at Brittany's, pointed at whatever podcasters. I laugh my ass off at.
I don't know that it is. I really try not to farm out work. People are hitting me with ideas all the time. I'm like, then make it, please share it. And a lot of times they're like, I don't know how to do that and whatever. And so occasionally you'll see me put up one and it's like in consultation with that kind of a deal. But I really don't like that. I would rather come up with something on my own. I'm kind of a anti-plagiarism freak when it comes to that kind of a thing. And even to the point where like I've came up with similar ideas before and I'm like, I didn't even know that it kind of matched somebody else's idea. So give them the credit for it. I'm pretty when it comes to that thing, but I have no idea. I think it's from being a kind of an ornery get off my lawn old man life, even though I'm not an old man yet, theoretically, but I have no idea. I do have places where I fish for material, like some Facebook groups that you can browse through and see something wildly absurd and then kind of blow.
Play with it.
But yeah, it's all kind of driven by current events. Every now and then there's a little bit more of a serious note to it, and I think it's my way of getting a message across sometimes without getting preachy. and standing on a soapbox, it can be like, hey, this is a really bad idea, and can't we all laugh at that? And subconsciously, you're planting in people's mind that that's a bad idea. Or you take something that we all love our dogs, and we buy our dogs based on stereotypes, and you just kind of take one of those stereotypes and make fun of that a little bit. But that's because we love them. That's why we bought them that way. Like, Brits are soft, ha 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 ha, kind of a deal. Well, how can I make this about Brits being soft? And that's why we love them, because they're great family and everything like that. I think just taking the things that we love about the game that we do and just trying not to take it too darn seriously.
That's key right there. Just I think we can all laugh at ourselves a little bit and have a little fun with
that's the easiest one too, is that every single one of those memes that I post is a little bit me too. So like I'm part of this whole absurd mess too, and I think if you can't make fun of yourself, you don't have much room to make fun of anything else. If you go back digging through that stuff, a lot of that stuff is me too. I try to keep it lighthearted, and you don't want to jump on somebody and be a bully or anything like that. So if you include parts of you in that, like, hey, it's me too. Like, I'm an Upland hipster too. Like, I like certain stuff that hipsters absolutely like, and if that's the qualifier, then I'm an Upland hipster too. So I don't.
I love that, man. That's a good. That's a great perspective. Great outlook on it. So thank you for for keeping us entertained. I will say that it
has certainly slowed down, because man, oh man, I have beaten the crap out of some territory and finding some new material every now and then. The well is
it's gotta be tricky
a little bit lately, but something always comes up, and we have something to jump on and laugh at for a minute and about our day. And if it can make people smile, great. If it can make people smile and think, then awesome. Yeah.
Even better. Well, Robert, what's a way for people to follow along? What's your Instagram again?
At Borderland_Upland on Instagram, and that's about the only platform I really do anything on. Even my Facebook is plugged right into that. So if I post something on Instagram, it shows up on Facebook too. So
okay, right on.
Only place I do anything. Man. I don't have anything for sale. I don't have anything profound for anybody. So.
Well, I will say thank you for your time. Thanks for just laying out some of your story.
If I was going to be doing one, this is a good one to do. So thank you for being.
Thank you. Absolutely, sir. I can't wait for see what you post next, and I know we'll be talking again soon. So thank you. And that's a wrap of episode 88 with Robert. Actually, 87. I'm sorry, episode 87 with Robert Poor. Robert, thank you so much just for taking the time. And I know you haven't done a podcast before like this, and I've been kind of hounding you for a little while. Just thanks for your time, man. Thanks for your vulnerability and being honest with just your story and your season, and talking dogs and birds, and just unpacking hunting wild birds through your lens and through your experiences. I greatly appreciate it. It was a ton of fun. I had a lot of laughs. I hope our listeners did as well. So thanks so much, man. I appreciate you, and would love to get down, hunt with you someday down in AZ or wherever it might be. Maybe we'll meet up here, maybe in Colorado, maybe hunt some blues together, something like that. I would love to get out with you. Hey guys, that's a wrap of this episode. Thanks so much for following along. Thanks for investing into the podcast. Whether you are just a listener of the podcast, whether you are a Patreon supporter, you share it on social media, whatever it might be, everything counts and everything matters. Thank you for just your continued support in a variety of ways into the Upland Rookie podcast. It's been so much fun doing this with you. Really, really appreciate it. And until next week, go put some miles on those boots and follow your favorite bird dog. Take care.